The fact that I'm sitting here talking about the flying spaghetti monster and invisible pink unicorn is a testament to the detrimental effect that the new atheism movement has on intellectual and respectful conversation.
Consider for a moment that the fault might lie with the religious, that to get respect, you need to earn it. And theists have been running a deficit for centuries. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers, BionicDance here. What we have today is State of Daniel completely missing the point of atheist memes such as the flying spaghetti monster and the invisible pink unicorn. And it's time to set the record straight.
I think it's extremely sad that there's a mock atheist cult that feels the need to parody religion just to make a statement about the existence of God, which it fails at doing.
If it fails, it's only because you've failed to understand its point, and, as we'll see, that's largely because you don't seem to want to understand.
Actually, it's quite possible to prove the non-existence of the flying spaghetti monster and invisible pink unicorn.
Like I said, I don't think you want to understand. The point is not to disprove them. The point is to take them as hypotheticals and try to disprove them as if they were genuine claims. You're supposed to realize that the qualities given to these imaginary creatures, mostly undetectability, are similar to the undetectability of God, and therefore the requirement of having faith in place of information. Taking the FSM and pink unicorn as actual claims misses the point entirely.
The flying spaghetti monster was invented by Bobby Henderson in 2005 in a satirical letter to protest the Kansas State Board of Education's decision to teach creationism alongside science. The fact that we know that Henderson created the flying spaghetti monster should, in any rational person's mind, completely neutralize it as a parody against religion.
Now that's just, forgive me, completely stupid. Are you actually claiming that being made up invalidates something as parody? What exactly do you think parody is? The flying spaghetti monster is similar to Jonathan Swift's satirical essay A Modest Proposal, in which he mocked the attitude of indifference of the rich toward the poor by suggesting selling children as food. If you take it seriously, you're a fool, even if you're only doing so in order to ignore the uncomfortable point being made.
These arguments by new atheists fail because they only present ridiculous arguments and completely ignore non-ridiculous ones.
Are you saying that there are arguments for the validity of religion that aren't ridiculous? Really? Which arguments are those?
It begins with something that's intrinsically improbable, and then draws the conclusion that belief in such a thing is irrational. Well, duh, we already know that. We know it's silly to believe in irrational things. That's why we don't believe in Santa Claus, or the Tooth Fairy, or in goblins.
Or a universe-creating magical beardy man who can do anything, threatens us with eternal torture, floods the entire earth, killing everyone but a zookeeper and his family, but somehow loves us all in spite of this, and thought sacrificing himself to appease himself was just about the best idea ever. No, wait. That's completely rational, isn't it?
So what the heck are atheists trying to prove with the flying spaghetti monster or invisible pink unicorn? Because their argument does nothing to address whether or not the existence of God is improbable or probable. The argument only disproves objects that are pretty well disproven.
Once again, you miss the point of the argument, which was not supposed to prove or disprove the existence of something, but rather to show how ridiculous is the belief in God.
And we know that the invisible pink unicorn is impossible because how can something be invisible and pink at the same time?
Oh? Can an all-powerful God create a rock so heavy that he can't lift it? Oh, sure, it's an old cliche, but the point is that just as the invisible pink unicorn has impossible contradictions, so too does God. Once again, the point is not to claim that such a unicorn exists, but rather to show how absurd, contradictory claims are a problem for religion. And just think, if Christians hadn't claimed their God was so powerful, he'd be a lot harder to make fun of. But no, you had to claim that your God had a bigger dick than everyone else's God, and ended up painting yourselves into a corner of contradictions.
Look, the easiest way to debunk these arguments is to notice that the objects that new atheists are choosing are completely arbitrary. They ask us to think of the flying spaghetti monster or the invisible pink unicorn, But why not a kayaking keyboard, or a floppy-stemmed flower, or a honey bun toad? We can create endless possibilities like these, all of which are just as probable or improbable as the next.
You mean like the dozens, if not hundreds of gods humanity has created? From storm gods to sun gods to gods of the seasons, gods of the stars, and gods of death? We could create endless possibilities of those too, don't you think? It's no different.
This means that if you want to claim that just one of them is true, then we have an equal case for claiming that all of them are true. From this reasoning alone, we know that none of them is probable at all.
Which is why it's used as an argument against God, an argument you're right now making for us.
However, while you can replace the flying spaghetti monster and the invisible pink unicorn for other things, you can't do the same thing for the concept of God. For example, God is omnipresent. Well, we know that the flying spaghetti monster is a physical thing.
Oh, and we have another swing and a miss at the point.
Plus, we also know that only intelligent beings can create spaghetti and meatballs. So there's no way that a flying spaghetti monster could even exist outside of our domain.
And we know that only intelligent beings can make complicated cars and cell phones, so a god had to make the universe, right? Right?
So flop goes the spaghetti monster.
Don't wrench your arm out of its socket patting yourself on the back there, kiddo. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. If you don't like what I'm saying, there's a good chance you're the reason I'm saying it.